executive board member for Evanston Chamber of Commerce. Now, Sabrina knows without risk, there is no reward. She is the founder of Agent ZPR and Detroit Dream Investment Solutions. She's also responsible for developing PR campaigns for some of the most memorable TV moments like the BET Awards, the Hip Hop Awards, Black Girls Rock, and so much more. And being one of the earliest female stockbrokers, Paula lives by the concept no risk, no reward. She's been featured in USA Today, Bloomberg Finance, Wine and Country magazine, and a lot more. She's also produced Little Boozy's Boozy Juice and R&B star Tiny's Tequila. So, ladies, I just want to welcome you all to the panel. Thank you guys for being here.
Hey, thank you, Robin.
Yes, thank you, ladies. So I'm going to just start it off and ask you guys, do you feel that entrepreneurs are better leaders because they're willing to bet on themselves and take a bigger risk?
Who would you like to go first?
I mean, you can go ahead. You can go first.
Well, you know, I think in some ways, you know, if that's going to be just a yes or no answer, yes, entrepreneurs are better leaders in some ways than, you know, folks who are not entrepreneurs. But it just depends on how you look at it. It's because we have to motivate ourselves to get up every day and work, you know, and lead ourselves as well as others, because we're the ones in charge. So, you know, it could go either way. But everyone that is following their dreams or has a dream, you know, they have to, you know, develop those leadership skills either way.
Absolutely. Angela, how do you feel about that as well? Do you think that entrepreneurs are better leaders than someone who, you know, is working just like a regular 9 to 5 or?
Well, I think you certainly find leaders in every capacity, in every industry. But as an entrepreneur, whether you recognize it or not, you are a leader because you've stepped forward and you've chosen to do something that someone else wasn't doing. So people are naturally following you into what you're doing. So I think even if you don't set out to be a leader, that's kind of what you need to step into and own once you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Paula, do you want me to call you Pixie or should it be Paula?
It's okay. Most people call me Pixie. I think Pixie because of that Pixie magic, and that brings into the inspiration behind entrepreneurialism. So I would say by definition for me, leadership would mean you need to have a bunch of followers. A lot of times as an entrepreneur, you don't have that because you sometimes have to take the role of being what could be apparently somebody who's disruptive or goes against the grain, you know, to get things done. So I also believe that to lead is to serve. So we're in our own mind, we're definitely self leaders, but I think that as Angela said, leaders come in all walks of life, not necessarily from entrepreneurial space.
Yeah.
So I have mixed feelings on that. I think what makes a leader is really not necessarily defined by entrepreneurialism.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is true. I agree with you as well. Now, ladies, the reward is always bigger when it goes right. But can you please explain some of the setbacks on entrepreneurs when things don't always go according to their plan? How do you get back on track? Pixie, if you want to actually start.
Sure. So I actually have a book on passion versus purpose, and I talk about the differences. And I say my motto and my tagline is keep in motion while the emotion catches up. I was fortunate enough to be trained by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and Dan Goleman, who wrote Emotional Intelligence and Emotional Intelligence in the Workplace. So I learned at a very young age how to manage the ups and downs of what happens in entrepreneurial space. And that's really what it is. It's about managing those emotions and then embracing the emotions, because as entrepreneurs, the things that get us to accelerate and set ourselves to accomplishing our goals are the fact that we embrace with great emotion and intensity our drive and our desire. And that's what brings that manifestation to actually come to fruition, because no one can tell us no. So we have that passion and that drive. So the emotion is clearly important, but the negative emotion, I would say, even though I don't really believe there is any, but anything that's in the contrast is even going to propel you more. That's why I don't believe that it's really any negativity.
Yeah.
So you've got to learn to just ride the emotions and embrace them.
So do you feel like there is setbacks?
Oh, there's setbacks every day. I mean, it's a matter of how you look at the setback. So if the empowerment place for me comes from, okay, if I'm not manifesting or seeing in my environment what I really create and what my storyline is and what I want my story to be, and I'm looking for evidence to support what I know it needs to be for me, the great power is that that's within me to change that. Like within this moment, I could change what my environment appears like to me, because there's nobody else inside controlling me, my emotions, or my head. It's all on me.
Yeah.
And once you own that power, then it's all on you. So you're not subject to environmental victimization. You really can just manipulate your own environment the way that you want to.
That's all in the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Angela,
Yeah.
what about you? I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel like, what happens when you do get setbacks? Do you feel like the reward is always bigger when things go right, but when it doesn't, how do you get back on track?
Yeah, well, I think, if you're an entrepreneur, there's no perfect blueprint for what you're building, because otherwise there's not much entrepreneurship to it, right? You're just doing something that someone else did. You have
Yeah.
to make it your own, and therefore there's not a clear line of exactly where you're going and how you're going to get there. And so you have to be tremendously flexible. You have to be open to opportunities. And setbacks are just another kind of pivot or an opportunity to do things a different way. I don't know how to do anything without setbacks. I think that's just the way it goes. It's that 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
It's just part of how you build something. So I wouldn't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have setbacks. It's going to happen, especially being an entrepreneur. Nothing just goes like aligned and everything's perfect. I don't think, and you wouldn't learn.
Yeah.
If you didn't have setbacks too. So, it comes with experience. And I think setbacks is just part of the whole package, to becoming a great entrepreneur.
Yeah, we grow from those challenges, because if it's too easy, then then we're
Everybody can do it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sabrina, what about yourself? How do you feel?
I agree with both of you that it's bound to happen. There'll be ups and downs, and to remember the setbacks are temporary, and to help with that, we got to have a plan B, plan C, the contingency plans. So it's very important to try and have a plan as as thought out as you can. So like, just in case if this happens, I can do this. And then of course everyone, is using that term that you said, Angela, pivoting, turning and also maybe, having multiple streams, or, well, that's getting into another topic, multiple streams of income, but, not just relying on one source or one client per se, and thinking ahead too.
I like the whole plan B, because it's like, you just never know if something does if you do get a setback, you have that second,
Something to fall
place to
back
go.
on.
Yeah, it's important. Yes. Angela, I want to ask you, does it help you in securing clients when a person knows how confident you are in your business and the leap of faith you took?
Oh, well, certainly, because of the nature of my business, the primary business is a co-working space. So it's a shared workspace for other entrepreneurs as well, or remote workers. And so I think I create a community of creativity, and so the fact that I made the space myself makes people want to participate in that community. And I do a lot of mentorship of the business owners who come through my space, either, more casually or more formally if they're part of my business incubator that we've started. So I think for sure they're not just joining an office space, they're joining my community and wanting to be part of what I've built there. It's not all about me, of course, but it's about the spirit that has been generated there, and people are uplifting one another. So it becomes more of that team feel instead of just everybody being a solopreneur.
Yeah. And I also think they would, I'm assuming they're trusting you, you know,
Well, I would hope so.
trusting
Yes.
you with, yeah, they're,
Yeah,
you know,
everything's built on mutual trust, I think, in our lives. And so, we all have to trust that we're each looking out for each other.
yeah, absolutely. Pixie, what do you think? Do you feel like it helps you in meetings when you're, securing clients, when a person knows how confident you are in your business and the leap of faith that it took for you to do this?
For sure. Because I'm in high visibility and a celebrity brand building, all my taglines are around inspiration, even my name, right? So the fact that I'm throwing it out there constantly, we're not building spirits, we're building inspiration. It's just our sip and share model, giving back, pour it forward, find your pixie magic. Where's your pixie dust? There's just so many things that are our hashtags that we're continually spreading, even our voicemails and our messages. So I think that it does make a difference. And you are the miracle. We try to remind people all the time what miracles we really are. And so just all the taglines around spirits, what's in your spirit? Spiritually speaking is our podcast. So in fact, the book that I'm writing right now is called What Bourbon Taught Me About God That I Didn't Learn in Church.
Oh, wow.
So it's always about just taking that little twist on life and turning it into a moment of inspiration. We actually have thank you written in 300 languages on our packaging, because if we're practicing the law of abundance and reminding ourselves how blessed we are, this world was not meant to be with no suffering. We're here to suffer. And passion actually comes from the Latin root word passio, which means to suffer. We're here to suffer because it's how we learn. So if we find these little tools to use to remind ourselves how blessed we are, how miraculous we are, then we create our own inspiration. And I think when you own that, that's what helps you to be, successful and moving forward as an entrepreneur or any leader and any role that you take on, whether that's mother, nurse, daughter, parent, teacher, doctor, lawyer, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I love that. I do love that. And Sabrina, what about yourself? Do you feel like you can secure clients more when a person knows how confident you are in your business and the leap of faith it took you to be where you are?
Oh, yeah, for sure, because there's multitude of other professionals, that can do the same thing. And even when a potential client is looking at your track record and comparing it to others, and usually they would want to speak to 2 or 3 potential whatever professional that they want to hire. What makes the difference is our confidence and just how we come across, and just the interpersonal relationship. And it makes a big difference in not just with being able to do the job, but to do it beyond measure. So yeah, that makes a very big difference.
I want to ask you, as an entrepreneur, you have all the pressure, right? So what is that pressure like when the people on your team expect you to deliver? I see your eyes rolling.
The pressure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think of an experience where I had that. You have to just take a moment to talk. Communication is key. Communication is power. And if someone is having a bad time, executing or delivering what they said they were going to, that, on my team, I will take a moment to talk, ask them how they're feeling, be an active listener, as a previous panelist was saying. And we have to take responsibility as well as the leader. So as far as taking responsibility and trying to create the future and not dwell on any past mistakes, but learn from them and keep moving forward and live into the future. And sometimes, so, if we keep thinking over and over, oh man, I messed up. just visualize the future, like this time tomorrow, that's going to be over, and we will be doing, on to something even, just fantastic, and it's all going to work out, and that, staying positive.
Okay. Yeah. Pixie, what do you think? What's your take on this?
I live in a very fast-paced, high-pressure, high-finance industry.
Mhm.
And so the amount of pressure on a daily basis for me is nonstop. It is nonstop. So
Yeah.
but I chose this. So what I remind myself is that my stress does not have to be distressful to me unless I allow it to be. So I almost have to separate what I'm going through and the motions that I have to go through in a highly regulated industry that is very competitive, to accept that. But at any moment I could choose to walk away. This is all of my own, self-volition. And so if I'm here to play, I'm entertaining myself. No one's making me do this. And so I have to keep reminding myself of that and take deep breaths,
Yeah.
because it's the space that I'm choosing to play in. But it does take its toll. I on a daily basis feel the neck strain and the back strain, because it's high pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's all in the mind as well. When you feel that pressure, it's like you got to take a break, take a moment, breathe. So
Yeah, and also I remind myself, is the amount of pressure I'm experiencing in alignment with my goals, and am I having fun?
that's a good one.
And then I say, okay, well, I could do anything I want to do, right? We're entrepreneurs. We could do whatever we want to. And so then I go, would I pick anything else? And I'm like, no. So again, it gets back to managing that emotion and keeping that, keep in motion while the emotion catches up.
Love it. Love it. And Angela, how do you feel?
Yeah, well, just to add on to those thoughts already, I definitely think, having some grace under pressure is required, especially if you're dealing with a situation in person where you need to respond on your feet to something. I try to shield my team from, the pressures of various things, where if a situation gets more difficult, it comes up to me. And then that way I'm the one who can, shoulder that burden and handle whatever stresses are associated with it. But ultimately, I generally feel like I have less pressure on me than when I was an editor in the publishing industry before starting this business. I had other people's deadlines, other people's pressures on me, and now it's my business, and I can choose if I want to give myself a few days to think about something before I move forward with it, or I don't have to do anything according to anyone else's schedule, which really, really does help with my personal stress levels and any sort of anxiety levels.
Yeah, the ball's in your court.
Yeah. So sometimes it's definitely keeps me up at night, especially in a year like last year.
Oh.
But for the most part, I find it to be less stressful than when I worked for other people.
Yeah. This is a question actually from a student. They're asking, how do I know if I have entrepreneurial qualities, or am I better suited for a role working under someone or under a company? If you want, Angela, you can answer that.
Sure. Well, I think, if you're entertaining the notion at all, you probably have a little bit of it in you.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets that bug to want to start something.
Yeah.
I personally am on my 4th or 5th career at this point. I think it was helpful to me to work for other people before I was in charge of something. And I think I learned a lot from every job that I had along the way. So, I was a retail manager for a while. That helped me to learn all the customer service skills that I needed.
Yeah.
I was an editor for a while. That gave me that precision and detail oriented nature that I need. I ran my own freelance marketing business for a little bit before I then opened an office. And then I was able to layer on other things because one of our locations is an event space, and then I opened the business incubator. Another location is an art gallery. There's all these layers, and I don't think I could manage all those different layers if I didn't have a lot of different experience coming into these choices that I'm making now. Because I'm less afraid to step out, because I know that I do have skill set, if not the exact experience from other jobs.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
experience is
So experience is
definitely something that helped you kind of like, want to go into different fields.
I think it gives you the confidence to then know that you can do it.
Yeah,
I think
because
it
you've
would have
done
been
it.
harder to do if I, yeah.
Okay, great. Sabrina, what about yourself?
Well, for the student that's asking that, if they think they have the qualities, I agree with Angela. Like if they're entertaining it, then the interest is there.
Yeah.
And, just, I would suggest just go ahead and give it a shot, that's what we all did. We stepped out and said, let me just try it and see, because what's the worst that can happen? You fire yourself,
Right? Yeah.
so, and you'll learn so much along the way. And just like what, the title of our panel, no risk, no reward. You don't know unless you try. So
Yeah.
that's just, I would say, just go ahead and try.
Yeah. I always say, like, don't knock it until you try it.
Yeah.
Pixie, what about yourself? What would you say to the student who's asking,
I always say, if you want to know what you're committed to in life, look at your life. So then you can answer your own questions. I started my first business when I was 9 years old. I wanted to do everything my way. My mom said my first 2 words were, I do. So I would suggest to the student to look around at your life. Did you create a lemonade stand? Did you start organizing plays when you were a kid? Were you having garage sales? Were you, trying to come up with bigger and better things? Is your hand up first for everything in school? Do you ask permission or beg forgiveness? So you can really, sometimes we get in our own way about self-reflection. We just have to ask ourselves better questions. So it might be, well, what would I be doing? And if the things you would list off, what are the things that I would enjoy exploring? If those things all seem to be entrepreneurial in nature, then you might say, yeah, I think I might be an entrepreneur. If they're, maybe more traditional roles, that there's nothing wrong with the traditional role, but it has a safety feature, or there's a guideline, there's a grid and a guideline that you can follow, and that's where your comfort level is, then that might mean that you should look more at a traditional education and career. So, but I always took for self-awareness. If you want to know what you're committed to in your life, look at your life, because we manifest out of our own thought process. There's no other way that it can be. So just look at your life. What did you create already? And you'll know.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people, especially when they're like still in high school or about to, graduate, it's hard to kind of look at, because I guess they feel so young too. So it's hard to, I know when I was younger, I didn't really even think about looking at my life and I figured things out a little later in my life, but I think that's
They
great.
can look and see, do they join clubs? Are they in team sports? Did they sign up for extra school curriculars because they want to explore more? Are they going on class trips? What books are they reading in extracurricular? Where do they find, even on Zoom channels or podcasts or YouTube, what are they tuning into? What things are already driving their curiosity?
I love that. Yeah, that's true. Good introspective. I love that. And so, ladies, I want to know, the dream is in your hands. What does that exactly mean to you? Angela, if you want to start.
Sure. Well, I think the biggest thing is that you have to love what you do, because we spend more time working than we do sleeping or any other activity in life. So we have to really, follow your dream in one way or another, whether that's working for someone else or building something for yourself. And, for me personally, I feel like once I started allowing myself to dream, now I can't stop. So I'm always thinking of what's the next thing. And I don't think I will stand still ever again.
I love it.
So I'm always thinking, what's the next layer? And so if I didn't have to do, my daily tasks, what would I want to do next? And so I am always dreaming and thinking up the next thing, and, call me crazy, but I don't slow down. And I think it's more fulfilling that way. And so I would encourage everybody to keep thinking about, if nothing was holding them back, what would that dream be, and what do you need to do to achieve it? Because you're the only one holding yourself back, really. Yeah. And so if you just keep reaching for it, I think there's fulfillment, even if you weren't to ever get there. Just trying to get there is fulfilling if it's something that you're excited about.
Exactly. Pixie, the
You
dream
know,
is.
I use my dreams literally come from my subconscious. So most of the things I followed have come out of a physical dream. I will have a
Wow.
dream at night. That dream will recur over and over again. So I can't even stop thinking about my desires in my conscious day. I'm thinking about it in my unconscious. So if I
Wow.
have those dreams over and over again, then I follow it. People will always say to me, "Oh, you're never satisfied. You're always going on to the next thing." And I'm like, "No, I'm always satisfied," which is why I'm always going on to the next thing. I'm embracing everything because I'm not attached to the outcome as being, oh, I was successful or I wasn't successful. So for me, it's literally, if I'm dreaming about it at night, I go for it.
I love it. I love that.
Mm.
And Sabrina, please tell me how you feel with, the dream is in your hands. What does that mean to you?
Well, the dream, we all dream, as we all know, and we dream when we're asleep and when we're awake. So, daydreaming, if you can see it in your mind's eye, you can have the dream in your hand too. Like if you can see it in your mind, you can see it in person as well. So it just starts with maybe writing down your ideas is very important, and just seeing yourself with doing what you are dreaming about. So seeing yourself, imagining like, oh, I'm signing these contracts, or I'm receiving these checks in the mail, or I see all these deposits in my bank account, or what have you, whatever it is. Just you can see it and you can dream it. It can happen, because it all like we've been saying, it all starts in our minds.
Yeah, I agree. Ladies, before we wrap this up, I just want to ask you guys, where can we follow you? Where are you on social? What's your handles? How do we get in contact with you? Sabrina, if you want to start.
Oh yeah, right now it's just, the easiest way is just my name, Sabrina Horton, on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Sabrina Horton with a Z.
With a Z. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. And Angela, how can people follow you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty easy to find online by my name. My business is Creative Co-working, and also the Colvin House and the Gallery Incubator.
Okay, all three. She got a whole lot of different things going on. And Pixie, how can we follow you?
I am Pixie Paula. If you just put that in, it comes up. But Pixie Paula Official on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Local Choice Spirits, or Striped Pig Distillery, or Skirt Magazine. I also own Skirt Magazine, the #1 women's empowerment magazine in the South, and we're just celebrating our 27th year.
Congratulations.
Wow, 27. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, ladies, thank you so much. You've inspired me too. Thank you, guys. And please, guys, please follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Create the Dream Co. And you can also use the hashtag Dream Conference 2021. And we will stay tuned, guys, for the next segment. Thank you, ladies, once again. Love talking to you guys. Thank you so much.